One, two, three, let's go.
Good morning and welcome everyone. My name is Valentin Schmidt and I'll be the host for this day's edition of the Morning Brief with Jimmy Song and Tone Ways with a couple of very exciting stories as usual, but today is a bit of a fuller day. Sorry, I have the YouTube running on the other channel, so I'm hearing myself. So let's start with Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg, first of all, he's go to his Facebook, he's showing himself off as a bit of a genius. He says he visited all states, 50 states, he ran 365 miles, he built an AI for his home. He only read 25 books. I think that's a bit, weak. And he learned Mandarin, which I heard him speak, is probably as good as mine. But anyway, the point is that he had some musings about decentralization and centralization, where he recognizes that people complain about centralized institutions like Facebook, which do or don't serve certain propaganda mechanisms. He didn't say that. And he recognizes the value of cryptocurrencies. Jimmy, what do you make about Mark's musings?
Well, so I mean, everything he says in here about centralization and decentralization is like correct in the sense that you want things to be more decentralized because when you have centralization, you have a single point of failure, which ironically Facebook is like one of the biggest single points of failure in any sort of connection is like the government can snoop on all your messages through warrant served to Facebook. This is why we like decentralization much better. But I don't know. This seems kind of like maybe he's getting jealous of the Winklevoss twins, like that are starting to have more and more money, and at some point might overtake him just from owning Bitcoin. Or maybe he's like feeling some guilt from the fact that he's created this giant platform where, personal liberty is taken away to a large degree because, like lots of different governments snoop through Facebook. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what his deal is. It is interesting that he's looking into cryptocurrency, or at least mentions it in this daily thing, I guess, or yearly post or whatever. I honestly, he's a smart guy, but he's got enough things, and I don't think Facebook is gonna ICO or anything, but just like everybody else in tech, if you are smart and know something about coding, you're gonna look into crypto, and I'm sure he has.
Tone, which cryptocurrencies do you think Zuckerberg is going to buy?
Probably not Bitcoin. I mean, again, like it's interesting. Jimmy mentioned the Winklevoss twins. I mean, Zuckerberg will probably back the wrong horse on this one because that's how things happen. Like very few entrepreneurs, get multiple things right. Like Elon Musk is one of the few exceptions. Steve Jobs innovated several things through Apple. But most people, they only have one. They have one good idea or one good project, and then from that point on, it doesn't work. What they do doesn't really work. And same thing happens in hedge funds. Like most of the hedge funds that made a ton of money during the real estate crash, they haven't done anything after that, and some of them are no longer in business. They made one good bet, they made a bunch of billions of dollars, but then the big winner from the housing crash was Paulson Funds, and then he backed gold, and then his whole fund went into gold, and that was one of the worst investments ever. Around
It was good for 2 years.
Yeah, well, look, he didn't go immediately after. He literally went into it near the top. So chances are Zuckerberg is going to back the wrong horse here. I mean, that's what I'm betting on. Also, clearly, he has a lot of free time on his hands. So it's very surprising that he hasn't learned Bitcoin by now or cryptocurrencies or decentralization. It's actually amazing how much free time that he has as a CEO. I wouldn't think that was possible, but.
Well, I'm sure he knows about it, and he's a pretty good coder. And if Facebook launched a Bitcoin exchange, I think they would absolutely kill everybody else. But
I doubt that. I mean, they don't have expertise in launching exchanges. I don't see it.
I think they would kill everybody because their back end would be absolutely solid. Like this is one of their competencies.
I don't know, like Nasdaq and New York Stock Exchange. I mean, they kind of know what they're doing. It's hard. I mean, if companies like Google and their developers, if they wanted to get into that finance stuff, I mean, they're realizing how hard it is. I mean, look, Apple Pay, Google Pay, I mean, they're barely off the ground. It's not easy getting into the finance sphere. It's really, really not.
No, I don't know. We'll see. I don't think he's going to do anything anyway.
So, okay, thank you, Mark. Keep up the good work. My bet is he's going to get into Ethereum big time. Okay, next story. Important. That's the. Are we doing BitConnect, right?
We could do BitConnect next, sure.
Yeah. Okay, BitConnect. So we said.
Yeah, that's really weird. 1 of 6 confirms. All right, let's see what's going on in the YouTube.
Oh, okay, we're back. All right. Yeah, I don't know why it's going in and out.
It might be Restream or whatever. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, we're back now.
Okay, stream status is good now. Okay, all right, yeah, let's. All right, so yeah, so BitConnect, there's regulation around it, which is good, I guess, because it's stamping out fraud, but it's also bad because stupid people are getting bailed out. But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Wait, it is a scam though.
Can we back up here? What do you mean stupid people are getting bailed out? What the hell does that mean?
Well, so in a sense, what's going to happen is like the people that invested in BitConnect are going to somehow get their money back if the cease and desist.
From where? From taxes?
No, not from taxes.
Because if that's true, I'm about to go get a BitConnect affiliate code right now, and I'm not joking, actually.
No. Not by the government. Just by being able to sue this entity and figure it out. I guess they should be able to.
They're not getting any money back from that. I mean, it's a straight up Ponzi scam.
Yeah, and they are somewhere in Indonesia or the Philippines, so they're not getting any money back. Plus, it's all in Bitcoin, so even less chance of getting any money back. And the government is not going to bail out. The government never bails out the little speculators. They only bail out big financial institutions. So
the rent seekers. So anyway, I misspoke. It's fine to prosecute fraud. I hope they do continue doing that.
Yes, prosecute more fraud, including, I'm not going to say it, but maybe Tone is going to say it, Ripple. So after a week of being bashed by the Ripple promoters that we don't know what we're talking about, we have a couple of very good articles now that a couple of smarter people wrote who do know what they're talking about, asking especially the same questions that we had, and finding no good answers for it. Jimmy, I think it works like BTC and ETH, or that Zuckerberg killed us.
All right,
I think we're back.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on.
Looks like we're back.
Okay.
So everybody says they missed the BitConnect story, so we're gonna talk about that.
Well, I mean, there's not much to talk about.
We're just gonna mention it. Yeah.
It's just like it's a cease and desist from Texas. It means absolutely nothing until the creator. What's his name? Who the hell is the creator of it again?
It's an Indonesian guy.
No. It's not. He's not Indonesian, is he? Yeah. I mean, until him and let's say the top 10 profit getters on BitConnect, until the 10 of them get arrested, it really won't matter, right? I mean, they'll just keep doing what they're doing because they're making money. So it is what it is. And people always like to make fun. Oh, I invest in everything Tone-Base calls a scam, and I make so much money. I've just been too busy. I've actually been meaning to. I've been thinking about getting a BitConnect affiliate and just say, hey, if you want to invest in something Tone calls a stream, please use my affiliate code for this.
Okay, so much for BitConnect. It's a scam. It's a Ponzi scheme. At least the state of Texas said stop selling it. But Tone says the people should go to jail. I agree, but they're somewhere in Asia with all the Bitcoins, so chances for that are slim to none. Now, Ripple. We've been talking about it all of this week. We're going to talk about it some more. This time we sourced some good research from some people who are smarter than us, who understand it better. However, they identified some of the same problems. Jimmy, why don't you talk about the 2-Bit Idiot, very extensive write-up and report?
Yeah, and he goes into everything from like 2013, including what happened with FinCEN, with the KYC AML laws and stuff, and how basically it's very, very centralized. And you know, this is probably my favorite highlight here. Yet up until a little over a year ago, most people, including many within Ripple, wrote off XRP as a legacy byproduct of a system that pivoted from cryptocurrency to enterprise distributed ledger technology. So even people within Ripple thought XRP was not really worth anything. It was just a way of doing something that they've pivoted away from a while back. And that's more or less what Ripple's been. It's just sort of been this dead product, while Ripple Labs, the company, has been going in a vastly different direction by making their own private blockchain for banks.
No, wait, is that even blockchain based? Actually, it's not. This is just the settlement system, and the token is blockchain based, but they don't use it.
No, it's not. The token is not blockchain based.
So nothing is blockchain based.
Yeah, no. It's this weird combination of things. But anyway, he goes through exactly what needs to go right for it to justify its valuation. He says many other banks must buy into the bridge currency thesis. If number one is true, then it stands to reason company will need a small coterie of partners. You know, adopting banks will need to be willing and able to accept XRP as revenue. There needs not to be a crash in the meantime. XRP becomes a reserve currency. Like this, all of these things have to happen in order for it to justify its valuation. And you know, there's still other things that he mentions, like right at the end. Weak arguments against XRP that are considered but abandoned. XRP won't win because BTC will. Founder stakes. I actually think these are pretty strong arguments, like the fact that it's like been pre-mined and everything, and it's a centrally managed protocol. These are all absolutely true. His main arguments are, though, like about how banks actually don't use it, it's not useful, etc., etc.
Okay, Jimmy, I did also read the article in detail. I think there's one thing that you missed, which is the difference between the settlement system and the token. The settlement system, which supposedly banks are using, but we have now also some sources we're going to show you that say that that's not the case, works without the token. And then they had the token, or they launched the token as a reserve asset that people can have as collateral or send around on the network if they don't have any other assets. It doesn't make the system faster. It doesn't make it cheaper. Even their own marketing material says that. They just envision this as a reserve asset rather than any other currency or Bitcoin or gold or US dollar, at which then 2-Bit Idiot points out that that's very unrealistic, that this is going to happen, especially with this volatility. And then second, the centralization is not an issue. SWIFT is centralized, the system that the banks use now. It doesn't work particularly well, but it works. It has nothing to do with
no, it's not that it's not an issue, Valentin. Is that centralization in this case is not a problem.
It's not a problem. The question is, why does Ripple and Ripple Labs or its token have to be on the coin market cap when it's essentially a service provider like SWIFT? Like, should we put SWIFT?
I explained this. I explained this in my video with Peter Todd when we talked about Ripple. It's because Jeb McCaleb showed up after scamming Mark Karpeles into buying Mt. Gox. He showed up at Ripple and wanted to become a billionaire, so created this token. And then when he couldn't cash out his billions from Ripple, he went and forked it and created Stellar so he can cash out his billions. That's pretty much the only reason the Ripple token has ever existed. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle. And people should also watch my crypto scam Ethereum episode, why Ethereum is a security, and it 100% applies to Ripple as well.
Exactly. So there's some definition issues here. This really shouldn't be a cryptocurrency, and it should be valued much different. Do you have any other thoughts? Did you read those the rest of the article, Tone?
I didn't have time to glance through both of those articles. I mean, the CoinDesk article is also very extensive. That's the one I glanced at more than the 2-Bit Idiot post. So I am glad 2-Bit Idiot is writing his articles again. The thing is, neither one of those seems to have, referenced my video with Peter Todd, which talked about all of this over a year ago, guys. Come on, I'm kind of disappointed in both of them. The CoinDesk article that quoted Peter Todd a bunch of times. I mean, link to the video. He talks about Ripple being a scam for a freaking hour. So that was a little disappointing, right? It's not even like I'm not even trying to pump myself up with that video. It's just I want to educate people, and I tried educating people a year ago, and maybe you guys should have been more on top of this shit a year ago, and maybe it wouldn't have gotten out of hand.
Well, I wrote about it 4 years ago, but no one read my articles back then. So,
do you have any other comments on this, Jimmy?
I mean, I think we know that the bubble's popping. I didn't even check CoinMarketCap this morning, but let's see what the price is. It's like $3.10.
I'll do it. I'll
Okay.
show the Ripple chart.
Okay.
Down 15%. Okay. Last thing here again. Finally, we've got some sources. Whereas Ripple always puts out these press releases saying, yeah, we signed up 100 banks, and people say banks are using it. First of all, they're using the network, not the token. But anyway, we've got Nathaniel Popper, one of the more respected journalists in the crypto world for the New York Times, who spoke to some sources. And he published this on his Twitter. Over the last day, I've asked several people close to banks if banks are indeed planning to begin using Ripple's tokens in a serious way, which is what investors seem to assume. When they buy at the current XRP prices. And then he posts an image. This is sampling. Actual use of XRP by banks is not something I've heard about. I find the run-up absolutely baffling, as do all the blockchain folks I know at large financial institutions. XRP isn't used for anything. The hope is that someday it will be by banks, but there really aren't any banks signaling that yet. I would be surprised if there have been any real bank-to-bank transactions done with it, outside of maybe test transactions, which again, testing you can do a lot, despite people making claims to the contrary. It's not clear to me why XRP would be used by banks at all. XRP could potentially be adopted by consumers as a payment rail, although they don't yet have meaningful traction in that regard. I haven't seen a sufficiently large catalyst in the fundamentals of Ripple to justify a greater than 10x move in the price of XRP over the last month. And so this is some pretty good evidence that what we've been saying is correct. Of course, only time will tell. But please do check out that article, especially by 2-Bit Idiot, and also the one on CoinDesk. And that brings us to the next story. Whale Panda, always vigilant and observant, says that the @Bitcoin Twitter account, which has been fairly dormant, it has a lot of followers but hasn't done much, has recently starting to tweeting BitConnect.com articles, which we know is owned by Roger Ver and has a certain agenda. And Whale Panda at least thinks that this is now the account has been compromised. Jimmy, what do you say?
I know we know lots of rich people like to buy Twitter handles. I'm thinking that maybe a rich certain someone may have bought the @Bitcoin Twitter handle, and that's kind of what's happened.
Yeah, I've actually seen people like do screenshots, and they go to that they go to those 3 dots, and they actually report it as like a scam Twitter account to try and get it banned. Which I might actually do. I got to glance at that. See if there's an option for that, like right next to the follow button, Jimmy. See if there's a way to report it. Yeah, report.
Yeah, you could do that for any account. So easy enough.
So maybe if all of us like report this account, we can get this account banned. And then, hey, this is how rich people go broke, right? Because it's getting really bad, right? Because look, now we have Bitcoin.com is anti-Bitcoin. The Bitcoin Twitter handle is anti-Bitcoin. We have Coinbase anti-Bitcoin, BitPay anti-Bitcoin. Blockchain.info, the biggest wallet, is anti-Bitcoin. We have Bitmain is anti-Bitcoin. It's getting really, really bad. But you know what? Bitcoin will still make it out. And I still believe in it. My money is still in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, just Bitcoin. Let's make that clear.
Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, it's it doesn't surprise me. I think somebody must have bought the Twitter handle. I'm curious who it is, and I would be interested in finding out. But yeah, I mean, for a long time, all Bitcoin did was just tweet out like the CoinDesk price like every day. That's all this account did, and then all of a sudden, like right around January. January 3rd or so, it started tweeting. Yeah, it started tweeting like crazy. So, yeah, I mean, my guess is it's under control. It's under new management. And you know that's their right. I don't think I need to go and report things or whatever.
I will. Later today, I'll hit the report button. I'll report it. I mean, look, I have I don't have as many followers as that account, but I have enough followers to, you know. If people with 100,000 followers start reporting this account, I mean, Twitter is going to have to take it seriously.
Yeah, I don't know how that algorithm works, but that's all good.
Well, I don't think it's an algorithm, right? I mean, it's people will be manually looking at it. Like every video on my YouTube channel gets flagged as not suitable for advertisers, and I have to manually take care of that. I mean, I think someone wrote a script to report my YouTube videos as not advertiser friendly. What can I say?
Well, we can finish up with a positive story about Bitcoin, which, before we even get to the price, which is Iran, where, again, Saifedean's principle has struck, and the quest for more freedom comes along with the adoption of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy, you've looked into that.
Yeah, I'm really not surprised at all. Whenever you have upheaval and disordering events, Bitcoin tends to do pretty well. And Iran has a lot of unrest right now, and the fact that people are using Bitcoin is not that much of a surprise. And if their currency should go down, you know, I imagine Bitcoin will have a bigger part of that economy. Who knows what the heck's going to happen in that country as far as the civil unrest goes, but you know, it's entirely possible that Bitcoin becomes a thing there if sort of this new generation takes over.
Okay, Tone, you said you didn't.
I mean, like, political and economic upheaval is good for Bitcoin until up to a point. I mean, when things start to get really bad, people just care about food and how to feed their family, not Bitcoin. So you want some political instability, but not too much. And I go back to the example how everyone thought that, you know, during the 2008 crash, like, oh, this is when my gold is going to go up in price. But it didn't. Gold also crashed because, you know, people didn't have the money to go and buy gold. Whatever money people had, they went and bought food. In fact, they were selling whatever gold they had, you know, to buy food. So it doesn't really work that way. So yeah, but like I always say with these things, right? Like when Greek banks shut down, Bitcoin is useless because there's over there almost because your money is frozen at the banks and you can't get your money out, so you can't buy Bitcoin. But the neighboring countries like Italy, they start to take it seriously, and they're the ones that are going to be buying up Bitcoin. So chances are, it's not Bitcoin isn't going to be. I mean, like Iran isn't really going to be pumping Bitcoin, but neighboring countries might. You know, maybe people in Saudi Arabia, maybe people in Iraq, you know, people in Kuwait. People are like, hey, what if like similar unrest is happening here next year? We should buy up some Bitcoin while our banks are still open.
Let's let's go to the price, Todd.
No, not yet. I got to do my weather report.
Oh, sorry, Jimmy. We keep forgetting about your weather report on the mempool. We want to hear about the price.
Yeah. So again, mempool's clogging, and we have more 300 plus Satoshi per byte transactions than ever. We have you can see that this orange area is getting bigger and bigger. So I don't think this is letting up. And in fact, we're starting to see the emergence of the 500 Satoshi per byte transactions becoming more and more of a thing. We just need more mining power. We need less transactions. We need more companies to move to SegWit, et cetera. But yeah, if you want to get in your transactions today, you're probably gonna have to pay 300 to 500 or more.
Price, please.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But again, adopt SegWit. And you know, all of those, I mean, start mining Bitcoin instead of mining garbage like Btrash. You know, I mean, that's mining power, right? I mean, my guess is Btrash is what, 10, 15% of mining power that should be on Bitcoin?
Something like that. It's usually it corresponds to price pretty well, so it's about 17%.
About 15, 17%. Yeah. I mean, that will go down over time. I have no doubt in my mind. All right, let me do screen share. Where's my price? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go to. You know what? I'm gonna share a desktop. Might be better that way because I wanna. There we go. Yeah. So here's No, you know what? Let's just do the Ripple scam first. Here's Ripple. What chart is this? This is on a 4-hour chart, and I also tweeted this out. There was this is using BitMax. If you use other exchanges, the 9 was actually 2 candles earlier, but the BitMax futures, you know, called the top very, very well. I had a couple of people that I know use this indicator. Guys, you mind muting, please? I know a couple of my clients that use this indicator and trade on BitMax. Actually, the were ones that pointed this out to me. So this was a nice timing for a short of Ripple. And the daily chart also called it right on the dot. And I tweeted these two out. So it was perfect. You had a daily 9 coming in, and then you're like, hey, if this is going to be a 9, where inside this candle is the best time for me to short it, because I'm planning on getting out or shorting it or getting out of the bull trade. And that's when you go to the 4-hour and you're like, oh, hey, perfect timing right there, somewhere on this candle. And so what are we looking at? Well, this is the 4-hour. I'm looking for a 9 for some temporary relief. But hey, the daily is, I mean, this is going to flip. I'm expecting it to flip. So let's see. I mean, Ripple should be nothing, right? Like the Ripple token shouldn't exist. It's totally useless. But hey, you guys want to trade it? You can trade it. Here is my tweet about Bitcoin last night. And it was funny. I heard people were making fun of it for like the next 3 hours until it just popped for $1,000. Yeah, so I tweeted this out 13 hours ago. And I believe Bitcoin popped about, what, 6 hours ago or so. So this was pretty well timed. And here it is. And I explain it all. We have the daily that has broken out of the triangle. I just needed it above this yellow line for a real breakout. But the tweet was sent. You can see the price of Bitcoin when I sent the tweet. It was 15,185 on that's BitConnect exchange. And oh man, how do I? Hold on a second. Let me do this instead. And you can see it again, like 51.99. This is Bitstamp. Same thing. It was breaking out on the hourly. It was ready to break out on a daily, and it was ready to break out on the 4-hour as well with like a cup and handle. So everything, like all the time frames lined up. And this is the difference between trading and holding a token. Like people think that you're supposed to be in a trade every second of every day. Look, guys, I trade traditional markets. I make about 8 to 10 trades a year, and these trades are at maximum 1 week long. Once you become a real trader, you realize that the best you can do is not overtrade. You're only supposed to enter trades where you have a huge advantage on what you think is going to happen. If you're just guessing, you're going to be a terrible trader. And this was a situation, which is why I haven't tweeted. I've been talking about Bitcoin in a no trade zone for like a week. And this was what I finally tweeted. And guess what? It popped almost 10% within a few hours of my tweet, only because all of the time frames lined up for a bullish trade. So now let's go and take a look what we're looking at now. Where's my, here it is, back to Twitter here. Let's take a look at the current situation. This is looking really, really good. We're back to 16,000 or thereabouts. And this was the original bullish entry because we hit our 9 sell, and then there was no sell-off at all. When can you confidently go back into the market? Well, technically, when you have a green number trading above a prior green number, and now we're starting to go up. We're going back to that line, and let's see if we can break it. The tricky part is going to be getting next week to be a green 6 because it has to close at a new all-time high. That is going to be the tricky part. But this week still has a few days. Let's see if we can get above 1650. Now, 1650 is really, really important. We've broken out of this line, which was enough to enter your bullish trade. But as a trader, there's two things to keep in mind here. You have a prior high right here, right? So if Bitcoin was a bubble, this is the classic bubble chart. This is your bull trap. The moment we go above this bull trap, in my opinion, there is no Bitcoin bubble at play here, okay? The moment we get above this high, the next target is this high. And once we get back to this high, I'm expecting us to break it. Maybe not on the first try, maybe not on the second try, but definitely on the third try. It's going to be like one of these cup and handle, maybe with another handle, right? Or we can just bust out. I don't know, but my last hurdle before I go all the way bullish to 25,000. All right, guys, can you please mute? Until we go to 25,000 is really this here, the 6,500. All right, is my last hurdle. Now, some people have pointed out that, well, this triangle looks very, very similar to a triangle over here, which I don't have labeled as a triangle. Maybe I did it on a different exchange, where it looked like we broke out. Oops, I'm sorry, not this one. This one here, right? So some people actually pointing it out on my charts, and that was a good spot. If you go backwards, hey, Tone, why are you so confident in the current breakout? And it's not going to be like this. Well, the reason is because we have to get above this point, okay? And we're on the verge of going above this point. Had this breakout went above this point, I would have been fully confident that we're going up. If we could not get above this part of the middle of the triangle, and therefore we collapsed down before going back up. Now, this time around, it's a slightly different situation in that, yes, it's still possible for this triangle to reverse from here and go down, but it's highly unlikely because we are so close to this high. And in fact, we're probably going to close the day at a new high. Like, see, this is the difference, right? This is the closing high. This is the intraday high. Closing at a new closing high is significant enough to expect us to break out above the 6,500 point. Above 6,500 point, my target instantly becomes whatever that is, $24,500, okay? And that will probably be a top. Hopefully it'll come on one of my daily and weekly 9s at the same time, so I can properly, you know, time a short-term exit, okay? And looking closely at the 4-hour, again, I was looking bullish over here. Took a little, was it there or was it here? No, sorry, guys. I think I was looking bullish over here. Yeah, I was looking bullish over here. And I expected us to break out on this candle. Took a couple of candles. That's okay. I think I sent out my tweet around this candle here, and took 2 more candles, and then we broke out. Not much of resistance here. I am expecting us to go to a 9 on the 4-hour. Let's see how high we can get. Again, hopefully we break 6,500. Ideally, you want to hit 6,500, pull back to 16,000, or even pull back to 15,000, the breakout level, and then bust out to 20K. The 1-hour, again, here's the 1-hour. I believe I tweeted it last night at around 9 p.m. It was like around this area. Our count just got broken, but this is a clear bull flag. This is the we're looking at a bull pennant here. I'm not gonna like draw it because I'm being lazy, but we can Google it. You know, bullish pennant, and you can just go straight to images, and here it is. So we're looking at one of these where we break out, and then we make a triangle, and then we're looking at the breakout the same size as the bar was. So something like this, breakout, make a triangle, breakout. So now if you go back to your hourly chart, you break out, you start making this triangle, and then boom, one more pop to the upside about the same size as the prior pop. So that's what I'm looking for. Hopefully it'll time it with a 9 on the 4-hour, give us a little bit of a breather back to 16K, and then pop to 20K. And let's see what happens to the altcoins as this happens. That's pretty much it. My usual disclaimer in the Learn Trading section. If you want to understand the indicators that I'm using with the numbers on top of the candles, they are explained in section 6 of my Learn Trading on my website in the educational section. You kind of need to be an expert at sections 1 to 5 to fully understand section 6. And my trading seminars in Hong Kong is almost sold out. About 4 seats left. And people are already reaching out for the LA seminar. I haven't taken any payments yet, which is why it still says 20 seats left. But that number is probably going to drop to 10 in a couple of days, just so you guys know, as a heads up. All right. On this note, back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tone. Some bullish news for the new year. We appreciate that. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow. Jimmy.
Did we lose Jimmy?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me? All right.
Yeah,
So I have been getting some inquiries about like the hard forking and me doing it for people. Just email me. My email is jimmy@programmingblockchain.com. Just if you're interested, or I can at least get you a quote or something if you're not confident in running that stuff.
Let people know this isn't free. Otherwise, you're gonna get like 1,000 emails.
No, it's not free. I can't just, like, there's a lot of risk I'm taking by doing that. So, hopefully I can get the repo up to a point where you can sort of run it yourself. But if you're not confident in doing that, then email me and we can talk. Anyway, this song is done.